Going to this podcast, but we haven't quite decided yet. We're going to be doing it anyway. I'm Colby.
And I'm an egg roll full of refried beans. But you can call me Fee.
What?
Okay, so I was I was at an excursion with my mom today, right? Mm-hmm. We were just going out to the store. We had to pick up some stuff, and we stopped in Portland. We were eating some food. My mom wanted Chinese, and we got Chinese. And as I was eating, you have to get an egg roll. Like every time you go to a good Chinese restaurant, you got to get an egg roll, no matter what. So we got an egg roll, and as I was eating it, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if this was full of beans? Just.
Did your mom just deadpan look at you and go, "Why would that be funny?" You go, "Well, that'd be funny."
We are in South Texas. No, my mom's pretty supportive of me and my mom have you wouldn't think it, but have the very same amount of humor. We're on the same wavelength.
I mean, it would be very funny if you were especially if you dipped it into sweet chili sauce beforehand or some other sort of Asian themed sauce, and then it basically turns out to be a tiny chimichanga.
Oh yeah, it's just that doesn't even sound appetizing. Just a chimichanga, but the only ingredient is refried beans.
It's just bean, yeah. Do you want a bean chimichanga?
Yeah, do you just want I'd say you want a bean burrito, but that's a thing. But no thing. No cheese, no vegetables, just beans.
Yeah, just beans. It's just beans and tortilla. I mean, to be fair, there are people out there that like my sister does not like any toppings on her hamburger except for cheese and bacon, and that's it. No condiments, no vegetables, nothing. No. It's literally a dry bacon cheeseburger.
That sounds terrible. Not gonna
so
lie.
I can imagine her being like, well, I don't want to have cheese, so I'm just going to get a bean burrito without cheese. And they're like, no! You just beans inside of a tortilla? And she's like, yeah, that's probably fine.
The guy at the window, just beans? He's repulsed by the idea. He's like,
it would almost be less gross if you just asked me to put beans in your hand.
He's like, beans and cheese. He's like, that's a normal, but just beans, just nothing to counteract the bean flavor. Just beans.
Just bean. Just bean.
Just bean. Just. What are you drinking right now?
I'm drinking coffee.
Okay, I'm drinking GFuel.
Oh my god, you got some gamer fuel, Fee?
Yeah, it was at Walmart, and we're walking by the drinks aisle because we wanted to get water, but they didn't have the water we wanted. They had shitty water. And in that aisle, on the opposite side, sometimes they have single cans and stuff. And from the corner of my eye, I saw it. I was like, GFuel! Now, I mean, I've never had GFuel, and I always see every fucking YouTuber advertising GFuel.
Oh, yeah,
and sure. I keep seeing the ads, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta try it. So, I bought 2 cans. I bought the PewDiePie flavor, and I bought the Sonic flavor.
Okay.
And I've had both. I had PewDiePie. It tastes like the cherry monster, the monster that comes in a pink can, except with less sugar.
Yeah,
because there's no sugar in these. And
I mean, that sounds fine and good.
It is good. It's really good, and it's cheaper than Monster, so that's good. And I'm drinking a Sonic, and it's called Peach Rings.
Yes. Okay. So, do you want to know why I know about the Sonic flavor?
Why?
So
it tastes like chili dogs.
So Jenny Nicholson is a YouTuber. She does very long videos on movies and random stuff, and she's a fan of Sonic, and she saw a fridge that had a GFuel fridge that had Sonic on it for the Peach Rings flavor. And she was like, who do I have to contact at GFuel to be able to purchase this fridge? Please help. I want to purchase this fridge. And she's a big enough YouTuber that they just fucking sent her a fridge and a bunch of GFuel, and she doesn't play video games. Like she plays I've seen her play like Nancy Drew mystery stuff like on her stream, but she doesn't play video games traditionally. She's just like a media type YouTuber. And I'll be goddamned if they weren't like, hey, you've generated enough Twitter buzz about you getting this fucking weird Sonic fridge that we're going to send it to you, and we're going to give you a promo code. So her promo code for GFuel is Horse Girl, which is very funny to me.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, boy, would I like to get big enough to where I can generate something and just out of existence make something happen.
Yeah, right? Like, imagine having that amount of like clout behind you that you could be like, hey, I saw this man wearing a necklace that had a diamond Pop-Tart on it. How do I get diamond Pop-Tart necklace? And fucking all of a sudden you've just made like the Pop-Tarts Twitter brand manager just like salivate. Oh God, 500,000 people are going to see our tweet. Oh, we got to partner with this person. Just send them a diamond, anything, whatever.
Just fucking like, but I want to say maybe she didn't think she had that much clout to where she could do that and that happened. So like it's a surprise. She's like, am I really that popular? I want that to happen. Like I want us to get like so popular that someone sees the podcast or hears it, and then they just like they're like, we get an email and they're like, oh, that thing you were talking about here, we sent it to you.
You're like, oh, okay.
I'm like, oh.
Well, like she's very big. She's got like a large number of subscribers, but the thing is, she's like, internet known for not things that are gaming related. So that's why I think she was very much like, I don't think anyone's going to give this to me. Which is why I just want to know, how do I purchase this fridge? Like, I want to purchase this dumb looking fridge for myself. And then GFuel was just like, just clamoring to like, we got to introduce ourselves to our audience. So yeah, I mean, that would be like, because you and I, we talk about like anime and movies and video games and stuff here. That would be almost as if like, I don't know. I guess like the new
Hot Shot.
maybe the new I don't know. Maybe the new Game of Thrones book is gonna come out, but they've sent out some like early copies to people to review, and then we say something on our podcast about like, oh man, that'd be pretty cool to read that new Game of Thrones book, and then fucking George R. R. Martin sends us an email and is like, I've sent you 300 of them. They're all signed. Please read my book.
Oh my god! At that point, we'd have to like host a giveaway.
Yeah, for real. It would just be like, does anybody want these books? In fact, I know I'm not going to read it. Fee, are you going to read it? And you're like, I'm going to put it on a shelf, though. So
I will.
299 books.
No, 298, because I would keep a copy for myself just to show people I have it, because I don't know if that's narcissistic, like, oh, look what I got. I just think it's a cool thing to have. Mm-hmm. But then I'd also give one to James, because he's read the books.
Yeah, that's fair. In fact, that's what we probably would have to do, right? Like, we would have to have someone read the book for us and then explain it to us on the podcast, because we both wouldn't read it.
You know what would be even wilder? Like, they do the book thing, but then they haven't recorded like an audiobook for it, because I don't know if they have audiobooks. They just ask us to do it, not knowing that we don't know anything about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we're like, Arya Stark was cold. Shit, what's this word? What's this word?
The winter came and left, and Arya Stark was naked. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. She was very cold.
Jon Snow, because it wasn't cold anymore, changed his name to Jon Summer.
Yeah. John Rain. That's
John Fall. He changes his name every season.
Yeah, it's very weird. No one can ever send him letters.
Costs him a lot of money, but he says it's worth it. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones. I
I mean,
refuse to watch it.
I watched maybe 2.5, 3 seasons of it. And then, like, I watched an episode here or there along the way, but, like, I was never super into it. So, like, whenever people... Because people that were big fans of it, that's, like, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, that is a shared cultural trauma with, like, a lot of people where they're like, wow, this, like... There are millions of people... The Game of Thrones ending was so bad that... that the pandemic happened and no one was talking about rewatching Game of Thrones. Like, it had ended maybe a year before, and literally no one was like, well, time to go and rewatch Game of Thrones. Fucking everyone was like, Tiger King, that's better. Whatever. I don't give a fuck.
I rewatched the Walking Dead series, all 10 seasons.
I bet you did.
I did. Dude, fucking... there's only 2 things that I've seen from Game of Thrones, because I haven't watched the series, and that's the very first scene in the very first episode where those 2 brother and sister are making out, and the little kid falls out the window.
Yeah, he doesn't fall out the window, okay? He's pushed by a person who stays in the show for the rest of the show, and every goddamn person is like, oh, I love this character. He really evolved over time, because they're pieces of shit and forget that he pushed out a child from a window and crippled him for life because he wanted to fuck his sister. I fucking hate people that love Jaime Lannister. It doesn't make any sense. If you love Jaime Lannister and you're listening to this podcast, fucking stop.
Maybe they're just big fans of incest. I don't know.
Listen, okay, everyone is. Don't get it twisted, all right? We're big incest fans on this show. Fee, I speak for everyone when I say that, right? I'm just not a fan of Jaime Lannister.
Look, I'm not gonna confirm or deny it, but there are some instances on some anime shows where, like, 2 siblings are getting, like, romantic, and I'm like, I ship this.
Yeah, okay. When was the first time that you were watching a show,
I don't know.
and then all of a sudden there was a character who was like, oh, I'm falling in love with this person who is my cousin, and you were like, hey, yo, is anyone going to tell him this is fucking weird? Why is no one pretending like this is weird, right, everyone?
Yeah, just, like, looking around like, this isn't normal, right? I mean,
yeah. Hey, haha, right?
Yeah, everyone's like, this is a joke, right? It's an inside joke, right? Right?
Right? Yeah.
No.
Apparently, so like in Japan, cousins are not off limits. Cousins are fine, and that's one of those things that you have to get over sometimes in some anime, because it'll just fucking show up out of nowhere. It showed up in Sword Art Online of all things.
Oh,
I was like,
shit, yeah. Well, in Sword Art Online, Kirito's sister, you don't see me, but I'm air quoting, is not related to him, right? Or is she his cousin?
No. She's his cousin.
Okay, yeah, but, like, they grew up together, so they're not even, like, distant.
Yes, they grew up together. So, like, season 2 of Sword Art Online, spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Kirito grows up with this girl who's his sister, and then at some point she's having these conflicting feelings. She's like, oh, I love him, but I feel like it's like in a different way than I'm supposed to. This is kind of, I don't know how to feel about this. And then it's revealed, like, oh, actually you're not brother and sister, you're just cousins. And then she's like, oh, then I'm gonna fuck him.
All bets are off.
It's just like, the funniest thing is, like, I would love to see like a Japanese audience reaction to that, where they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fucking good for you. And then an American reaction, which is like, this changes literally nothing. Stop it.
They are still related by blood somewhat. Jeez,
please, you grew up with each other. You probably have seen each other poop. It's weird.
So, like, okay. So there's another anime, a recent one that I think came out this year. It's called A Couple of Cuckoos.
Okay.
And it's a really good show. It's a rom-com. And I don't want to say it's a harem, but, like, the main guy has 3 girls that are romantic interests.
Okay, so that's a harem, yeah.
Okay, so this man, or boy, I guess, teen boy, he he was switched at birth. And
Okay.
one family is from a very rich, like, Japanese family. They're like millionaires, and they had a son, and he was switched with a girl from this very poor family who owns a restaurant. They're very poor, and then they grow up, and the family have have decided that they should meet each other because they found out what happened, and then they want them to marry each other.
Okay.
So that's it. Weird premise already.
Yeah, I'm kind of into this. This is interesting.
But inadvertently, they met earlier before they were supposed to meet each other for real, because the girl who is with the rich family is a very famous, like, TikToker.
Okay.
She's like a social media star, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess she was getting harassed by these dudes, and the boy from the poor family kicks their asses.
Oh, of course.
But no. The funny thing is, he's like very smart. He's He's like one of the top students in his class, in his school. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, his family used to be like gang members and fucking Boncho's mom and dad. That's how they met. And they run a restaurant, and they're very family friendly, but they raised their kids, like, they taught them how to fight and shit. So, like, they're really good at fighting. So,
okay.
They meet, he saves her. She's like, oh, I have to go meet my fiance that my family set me up with, and I don't want to, but you're really cool, and you saved me, and you don't even know who I am on social media, because whatever. And she, like, jokingly is like, man, I wish I could marry you. And then they split and never think they'd see each other again until later on that night, when their families are like, yeah, this is who we decided your wife was going to be. And they're like, oh, shit.
Oh, good.
So, that's the premise of the show. But
yeah, great.
How this relates to incest is the boy from the poor side of the family has a sister who he grew up with.
Uh-huh.
So do you see where I'm coming from this?
Well, it's like I've got future sight right now. This is crazy.
So, the girl is the poor family's real daughter, but the boy from the poor family is not related to them by blood at all.
Correct. Yep.
And she has had conflicting feelings for a long time. Like, man, I love my older brother like a brother, but like I kind of like him.
Uh-huh.
But then after she finds out that, they're not related at all, she's like, I kind of want to get with them. So, as the show goes on, like, the rich boy and the girl, the dad's like, hey, y'all should practice living together. We have a spare house y'all live in. And the sister just, they're just like, y'all live together and see how y'all work out with each other. And she's going to go to school now in your school. And it's going to be all fucking gravy. We're going to see how that works. They live in separate rooms, so it doesn't matter. That's where the comedy comes in.
Okay.
But then the sister from poor family takes it upon herself and is like, yo, I fucking hate this poor house. I'm going to go live with my brother. And moves herself in, trying to get closer to the brother.
Okay. I'll just say it. She just wanted to fuck her brother, and they should just say that out loud, right? Like, if you're gonna be like, oh no, we're just, she's just, it's okay because they're not actually related. Like, just, she wants to fuck her brother. Period. The end. Like, have the courage and conviction to go through with it. Okay,
but like, she grew up with them, and the thing is, how weird would that be? Like, so she, like, say she wants to, like, get married to him and, like, date him. Like, how weird is that? Like, you think the parents that raise you are your parents? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah.
Like what would they think? Like,
would they be like, hey, you do know this is super fucked up, right? Like, that, right?
They still think of him as family. Like, they call him son and everything. They think of him as family.
Yeah, it's really weird that you brought this up, because I did have a dream last night in which I went to a mall, and when I got back, my wife was just like frantic and pissed off, and I was like, what's going on? And they were like, I just found out that like I'm not our son's mom. He was switched at birth in the hospital, and like I don't know where he is, and we're trying to figure it out. And I was like, whoa, that's weird. And they were like, yeah, I spent 9 months growing this man and then giving birth, and then now just whisked away, replaced with this strange baby that we've been raising. And I was like, yeah, but I do like this one. This one is pretty good. And then I woke up, and so
confused.
It's very on topic.
That could never happen. Your son looks just like you. Exactly
like me when I was a baby. It's very strange.
You're just raising another you.
In fact, if anyone ever asked me to like publicly post a picture of my son, I'm just gonna post an old baby picture of me and be like, imagine this, but with better photo quality.
Yeah, better quality.
That's it.
He looks like, even his hair, like, your wife posted a picture of him, I think yesterday, and I was like, wow, he looks just like you.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, actually.
Yeah. I don't want to say my dream, but it was weird.
Listen, my dream was also related. I don't want to talk about it, though.
It was okay. So, like, randomly, out of nowhere, I had a dream about a childhood friend of mine. Grown up as adults, we met as adults, and I went to his house, and he lived in a very weird house, and I helped him move to a new house. I haven't talked to this man in over 20 years. And his brother in there, and then, God, this is weird. We're playing Smash Brothers on a projector, right? And I was like, hey, do you have another controller? And he's like, oh, we only have a projector controller that if you project it on something, you can hit whatever you're projecting it on, the buttons work. But he's like, but we already put the little projector that we use already away, so you have to, like, do it on your hand. And for whatever reason, I projected it on my foot, and I was playing the game on my foot. And what's weirder is the way I woke up from the dream was very, I don't know, scary, I guess. So we're in his like house, and we're moving stuff, and we're chilling, taking a break, and then the door, like, someone knocks on the door, and then he's like, who's knocking on the door? And then it like moves from like a knock to like trying to open the door. And then they get the door open a little bit. We don't see who it is. But then my friend's brother pushes the door, and they're like, oh, shit, they're coming to get us. Look, some of the net that they were going to throw on us came through the door. And
what the fuck?
Exactly, yeah. And then his brother pulls out a gun and is holding it to the door. And then my friend pulls out a crossbow and is holding it to the door. And then they were like, all right, Fee, open the door. And I was like, what? And they were just like, yeah, as soon as you open it, we're going to start blasting. So, as soon as I open the door, before I see anything, I wake up.
Wow.
Such a weird dream.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I've never had a dream like that. Ever.
Have you ever just, like... You ever been, like, browsing Reddit, minding your own business, and then you watch a man die on the internet? Isn't that weird?
Several
that, like,
times.
no one warned you about that?
It's not weird to me anymore. I see it a lot.
Yeah, it depends on, like, where you're hanging out, but, like, it was just, like, it was on the front page of Reddit, and it was, like, an NSFW video, which, like, doesn't mean anything when it's inside of the, like, crazy videos subreddit, because it could just be, like, oh, there's, like, blood or whatever, and, like, this was, like, an ex-boyfriend, like, went over to his girlfriend's house and was, like, pounding on the door, and they were like, go away, if you break in, we're going to shoot you. And then he spends 2 minutes, eventually breaks down the door. As soon as the door opens, they shoot him 3 times.
Jesus.
And, like, he, like, turns around and, like, hobbles away like a goblin and then just sort of falls in the driveway. And I was like, man, I wonder what happened to that guy. And I look at the comments, and the first comment, like, this man died, news article. And I was like, what? Fucking, there's no... The whole title of it was just, like, a crazy ex-boyfriend won't leave parents' house. And I was like, Okay, yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Are they going to, like, hit him with a baseball bat or something? No, shot this man to death. Jesus
Well,
fucking Christ.
Okay, like, speaking about Reddit videos, well, I see videos like that a lot because I subscribe to 2 Reddits called, what could go wrong?
Yep. What could go wrong, yep.
And, 3, I'm sorry, Hold My Feeding Tube.
Yep.
And, Make My Coffin.
Yep.
Just the worst.
Yeah, I my favorite thing is whenever, like, they have a video where, like, not much is known about what happens afterward, and the person could have maybe died, which means that everyone in the comments gets together and everybody starts fighting about, like, oh, I think this or I think that. And my favorite example of this was this. It's this video of this guy, this pissed off, like, big bulky muscle dude who's, like, outside of this restaurant, and they're, like, videotaping him because I guess he was yelling or whatever, and then he, in order to intimidate them, he, like, punches the window of the restaurant that they're in, yeah. And I guess he breaks the window, but the glass cuts him in an artery, and so he is spraying blood for 30 seconds. So, like, he's, like, super pissed off, blood spraying out of him. He's, like, still trying to look jacked and fucking, like, yeah, I'm scary. And then you see him, like, his arms, like, slowly go down. It looks like he's calming down, and then he has to, like, lean against a wall because he's getting wobbly. And then the video stops, right? Yeah. And in the comments, it was just like, oh, yeah, I'm a blood doctor, and I can tell you that, like, if he didn't see medical attention in 2 minutes after this video, he was dead. And then someone else, like, no, if he, like, I am an EMT, and if he applied pressure to the wound and then someone got there within a couple of hours, he would have been okay. Fucking everyone in the comments like, well, my grandfather cut his arm one time real bad and he was fine.
My dad was sliced in half and he lived.
Yeah, he was fine. He just grew his legs back.
Not even horizontally, vertically.
Jesus.
He was bisected and he was fine. He lived.
Dude, we had a story like that at college. The first semester that I was in college, like I went to the dining hall to go eat, and then like the lights turned off and they had kicked everyone out, and so me and a couple of people were just like, we'll just, like, hang out here and wait to see if the lights come back on. And they were like, well, don't kick out any windows, haha. And I was like, what? And they were like, oh, yeah, that's right, you're new. Last year, this kid, he was like, all the power got shut down in our dorm room. And so him and his friends got drunk, and he decided it would be a good idea to try and kick through a piece of safety glass. And it was like that safety reinforced, like, emergency glass. Yeah. So it's like big, thick glass, and then, like, what's effectively a metal mesh in the inside. Yeah. And he was successful. He put his foot through it, but he in the process cut his Achilles tendon. Oh. So now my man can't walk anymore. Oh. And I was like, oh, cool.
Oh no, oh god, that, like, okay, so if I could, like, rate what is the worst place to get, like, sliced, Achilles tendon, even over neck. Yeah, just
gotta be right. Like,
yeah, no, even, like, paper cut between the fingers. Just no, I can't. Speaking,
yeah, I can't believe that.
So, before we get into, like, other topic, this is a comic I found on Twitter. I don't know if I talked about it before. But it was, like, very Black Mirror shit.
Okay.
So, it was, like, comic of 2 girls going into, like, this laboratory, right? And they were like, oh, I can't wait to go to Japan. They're going to go to Japan. And we're going to get teleported there because, like, one of the girls knew, like, the doctor, and he had a teleporter. And her friend has never used it before, so she was like, oh, it doesn't hurt, it works, it's real good. So the first girl gets in, and she's in the teleporter, and she sees, like, the girl in, like, the thing starts going, and she's like in a lot of pain, and then her body disintegrates. And the other girl was like, "What the fuck, dude?" And she's like, she's fucking gone. She disintegrated. And then she gets a call from her friend, and her friend's like, "Hey man, you better hurry up. I'm gonna go to the shops, and I want to shop already." And she's like, "But I just saw you die." And the other girl's like, "Yeah, they have to kill your body." And then the other teleporter, like basically 3D prints you a new body, a new conscience, and that's how it works. You just, every time you use a teleporter, you just die, and then they implant your memories into this basic clone. And the other girl is just so fucking freaked out. She's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do this," and like she spends like the rest of the day just freaking out because her friend is dead and she doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, dude.
And I just, it doesn't, I didn't know where else to tell the story. I just wanted to tell because I thought it was fucking, it's crazy to think that what if that is like what could happen.
Man. Yeah, that's a good idea for a story too. That's very like, that's very Black Mirror.
I just, man, I like, so it's hard, dude, because like you they're not implanting like your consciousness. It's just a whole nother person that is just you. So you die, and then you just have this other you that's not you at the same time.
Man, that starts to get into the question of like who are you? What is self?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Weird questions like that. Like because I've thought about like what I don't know. Are we entirely self-contained inside of our brains? Like if you took my brain out of my body and were able to like hook it up to vital nutrients and shit and give it stimuli, would I still be and think me?
Exactly. Like it's what is that show where the rich people just basically live forever by inserting like their brain, they're like
altered carbon.
Like,
yeah,
are you still you if like you get implanted into, I guess, a younger body and live forever?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories that explore that, because like one of my favorite things to think about is if your consciousness was transported to like live on the internet, what does that look like? Like, is that a viable way for humanity to survive beyond our means?
I don't know if you know this, but like Cyberpunk kind of explored that.
Yeah, they totally did.
So,
I mean, it's same sort of thing though. Like,
but where would you like? Would you get tired? Like, where would you?
Yeah, do you get tired? Is like, how does time dilation work? Because like that's the other thing is, you know, if our bodies and our brains can process like information at a certain rate, if you take the latency between like, oh, my eyes have to receive the information and then my brain has to process it and then my muscles have to contract, and like, so it takes, you know, half a second to like avoid a knife or whatever. If there was like no lag, like, does that affect how you perceive time? Does like time dilate? You know, can a second take like a year, right? Like if processes and decision making stuff takes, you know, nanoseconds to do, then does a full second seem like an eternity? Like if your consciousness got transported into the internet, you lived there for eons, and then suddenly they pulled you out and you're like, it's been 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy to think, like, how do you process not having a body, but just being a consciousness in, like, this data stream? Like, you're not asleep, you can't get hungry, but does your consciousness feel hungry? Or feel tired?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't know about like hungry and tired, but you can definitely receive physical stimuli.
But how do you get over that feeling? Like, you're so used to it. Like, every day, you know, you're like, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat something. I'm tired, I'm going to take a nap. And then all of a sudden you're thrown into this other space, this sphere of reality. How do you get over that? Do you just not feel that anymore? Or what do you feel? Because you're not a physical body. You're just a strain of consciousness. So what do you feel?
I mean,
there's no real way to figure it out, but like...
there's definitely been days where you've, like, not been hungry. And there's been times where you should be sleepy, but you're not sleepy. I imagine it's just like that.
Probably. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Keep talking. Maybe I'll remember.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, like, there's a lot of concepts there that, like, are interesting to think about because how your body receives information is basically artificial in a lot of senses. Yeah. So I don't know if you know, this is a very interesting experiment that people have done where so they'll what they'll do is they'll take, you have like one arm that's down, and then you have a barrier that separates you from your other arm, but they put a fake arm in the same sleeve, right? That. And they give your hand and the fake hand the same stimuli, like rubbing it with a feather or like, you know, touching the fingers and stuff, and then they'll do something painful to the fake hand, and you will experience the pain as if it were real.
I've seen that experiment, and
so to me that proves like it's for sure. Like you can for sure stimulate what it feels like to like experience pain or experience like body, like your body weight and like gravity on you. Like if you just give your brain the right impulses. So like this is all assuming that like all that stuff is perfected.
Yeah. Okay. Going back. I remembered what I was going to say. I got really high last month. Because my sister, you know, she gets high, and everyone in my house like vapes, and my sister has this like weed vape. I don't know what it's called, but I was like, Jess, is this strong? And we're out and we're hanging out. And I was like, is it strong? She's like, oh, I'm used to it. And my mom's like, oh, I'm not used to it. I couldn't like do it. I'm like, are you doing it right? And my sister was like, oh, well, she didn't do it right. So I'm like, well, let me try. And I hit it the first. I hit it the first time, and I was like, I taste it, but I don't really feel anything because like I didn't blow like smoke out. And the second time, I'm like, okay, I'm getting better. I'm doing it. And my sister's like, hey, you should stop. I'm like, well, just one more. And I hit it. I hit it 3 times. And after the third time, I was fine. I was like, fine. And I was talking with my mom today. I was like, sitting there at our kitchen table, and we're talking, and then slowly, I could feel my body like coming out of my body. I could feel just this coming over me. Like I was starting to like drift from my body. Like I was having an outer body experience. I was just feeling so light. Everything became fuzzy. And my mom was talking to me, and then she was like asking me, she's like, are you high? And I was just kind of repeating her. I was like, hi. I was like, no. But then like I feel my but like, oh God, it was so weird. I feel like I was outside of my body. I could feel like my eyes just shifting around. It's like, like some movies, like when they move and you see like the after images of like your hand or like your body. That was going on. And I was like just staring just hard. And they were talking and they were like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And I'm like, I think I'm going to go lie down, as a matter of fact. So, oh God, getting up was so weird, and walking around, my body was heavy, but it wasn't at the same time. And then I laid down, and then that was the worst. Like, it was like I was floating above my body, watching myself laying down, and then I would just go in and out of like what's going on, and they're like, "Hey, are you gonna be okay?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna be fine. I just need to lie down with my eyes just fucking wide open, like non-blinking, and like my body's just melting into the bed." And, and then, you know, my sister brings me some milk. She's like, "That'll help you. It'll bring you down." When I tell you, I couldn't move like a muscle in my body. I couldn't lift anything. And then I felt like I could hear everything. Like my mom and sister in the other room. And I'm like, are they talking about me? Like to myself, I'm like, they're talking about me.
And both of them are like, he's gonna fucking die.
No, I asked my sister, like, were y'all talking about me? I felt like I could hear y'all right next to me. They're like, no. I was like, oh, I was just freaking out. Fuck, dude, I never again. You know, she was like, yeah, you did too much. And I was like, oh, Jess, I was freaking out, dude. I was fucking out. It was weird. I hated it.
Yeah, don't ever let me do that again.
It was the worst. It was the worst, grossest experience I've ever had. And my sister's like, well, I'm used to it because I've done it so long, so it doesn't affect me. And I'm like, Jess, yeah. I don't smoke weed. Like, I haven't in a long time. Man.
I do love the thought that you're like, you're actively dying. You're like, Jess, I'm an amateur.
Why did you let me? Just fucking everything I've ever like done wrong is like, washed over my body. Oh fuck. Speaking of consciousness and AI and you know whatever, that brings us to our next topic. Pinocchio.
Yeah, the big P, if you will.
Yeah, big old Pinocchio.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, it feels like Hollywood does this every once in a while, where they're like, I don't know if like the Pinocchio, like the original story became public domain this year or last year or some shit, but like Hollywood does this sometimes where they take an idea and then there's all of a sudden 3 or 4 things about that whenever there were 0 last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. And so there are currely...
Last year there was a Pinocchio movie.
Oh, there was. We don't talk about that one.
No. We talk about it.
No. It's worth
it. It was dubbed in English by Pauly Shore and Napoleon Dynamite. All right, John Heater.
I mean, you could just call him Napoleon.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think he's mad when people just call him Napoleon?
No, because that means that people remember him, and you never want to be forgotten. What else has he done other than Pinocchio? Like before that?
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he's a Mormon, so he's probably done other Mormon things.
Yeah, I think I remember him being like in a religious cartoon voicing. So, there's that.
Oh, he was in Blades of Glory.
Yeah, but after that. Blades of Glory happened when we were in high school.
Yeah, it did. Oh, he was in a Tremors thing.
Oh.
He was in the Aquabats TV show briefly.
I mean, that makes sense.
He's a voice actor for Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
Yeah, I know that.
Stretch Armstrong he was in.
Oh boy.
He was in a show called Pickle and Peanut.
Oh,
he was Pickle. Loved that for him.
John Heater, or Pickle, if I may. Just please.
Oh, he was in a Critical Role.
Oh, ew. I mean, I'm not a fan of Critical Role. Don't hate me. Don't fucking at me. But it's...
I mean, I've never watched it, so I have no idea.
I've seen some of it, but like, when you play D&D, like I do, and I haven't in a while, if you get someone new to D&D, they want their experience to be Critical Role if they watch Critical Role.
Yeah. I've read about that on the D&D subreddit a lot, and actually.
I've had that happen to me several times, and I hate it. I hate it because they're like, oh, we're gonna be overtly funny in a serious situation, or I want to romance all these things, and our DM's always like, no,
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't broad. There's no cameras here. We're just playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're not trying to construct a rich narrative with like some fucking mastermind storyteller in front of a camera for an audience of thousands.
Yeah.
That's not what's happening here. We're trying to play a fun game.
Yeah, we're all just trying to have fun. And even though this sounds like it may be fun for you to live out your Critical Role fantasy, it's not for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
from what I understand, the other, like, one of the other things that happens is like DMs will be like, we'll get into Critical Role, and then they'll start being like, oh, looks like fucking this Critical Role character may be in the tavern. Wink.
God.
Oh, you hear a familiar voice that sounds like this, and everyone's like, yeah, fuck yeah.
I can't tell you how much I hate that. Like, if especially like if someone starts a new game with you, say you're playing a game and you make a character, and then like the other player's like, I made this character from Critical Role, so I'm gonna roleplay as him. Oh, just come on, be original. Like,
you're like, man, just fucking come on.
Yeah, you gotta be like, who at this table seen Critical Role? Maybe one other person, but they're playing like normally, and here you are living stupid. Just
big dumb.
Yeah, I can't tell you how much I hate that. Like, when it comes to D&D, if you know me, I'm not big serious, like, a lot. But when it comes to D&D, I like, play as traditionally as I can. I make a very good character, like, a rich backstory and rich lore to this character, to fit in the world that the DM has described to me. And I try to put myself in that place, and I try to play, as... like, not serious, like, I'm not gonna be a stick in the mud, but have fun, but within the confines of the reality that the DM has set for me. Mm-hmm. And I put myself in that role. I don't want you to fucking bring internet meme bullshit garbage to this setting.
Yeah. I've only played D&D 2 times. Like, I've played with 2 different groups, I should say.
You played with us way back in the day.
I played with you, and... my favorite thing about... So that was my first time playing D&D with you guys.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about it is, like, I was just so suspicious that our DM was going to do something to absolutely fuck us. So, like, I was moving at a snail's pace, and he was visibly frustrated with me.
Oh, God, yeah. James was so mad that you were just... You were skeptical of everything.
Yeah. He was like, oh, yeah... like, my favorite example is, like, my character walks in, and there's a bunch of, like, crypts, right? Just a bunch of, like, coffins. And so, I was like, okay, I check the floor. Is there anything weird about the floor? And he's like, okay, I guess roll for it. And I'm like, here you go. Like, that's for sure gonna... And he's like, no, there's nothing weird. I'm like, okay. Can I open... Like, are the crypts open? And he's like, no. And I'm like, I'm going to open one. And he's like, okay. I guess do a strength check. And I'm like, bam, I got it. And he's like, okay, it's a skeleton is in there with nothing else. And I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. I want to push the top off of all of these crypts, and I want to take all of their leg bones with me. I'm going to take all of their legs. And he was like, why? They're not... Okay. Outside of RP, these skeletons aren't going to do anything. And I was like, I do not fucking believe you. And so I made him let me take their legs with me, just in case.
This man walking around with bones in his bag.
I swear to you, I had 8 pairs of legs with me, and then I tried to sell them at a shop the next session, and someone was like, I will give you, like, 1 piece of copper per leg. And I was like... Well, that's some bullshit. I've got, like, 8 pairs of good skeleton legs here. And then he, in character, was just like, oh, well, I don't have to pay you anything for those dumbass legs. And I was like, oh, sorry. Yeah, no, 1 copper's fine, sir.
These are premium legs.
I've got these legs, hey!
What? Like, out of character in game, what was that man gonna do with those legs?
Great question. Is he gonna eat them? Is he gonna give them to his dog? Who fucking knows?
Just walk. That was so funny. I remember that like vividly. Like, this was back in DnD 3.5 edition. It was so good. Like, God, what? I haven't played D&D with you in a while, or like since then. That was like 18 years ago. But
yeah,
fuck,
that was a very long time ago.
That was great. Just because I had been playing with him for like that whole year. We had been playing, so I knew kind of James's DM style, what he was going for. And then like when he kept telling you no, nothing's going on, I knew that nothing was going on. But you were just like, I don't trust this man. But you've never played with James, so I mean, it makes sense.
I was like, this man is like, he knows it's my first session. He is going to royally fuck with me, and I am not going to be taken over by skeletons today.
But the other group was like, nothing's going on. Just come.
Yeah, literally, everyone else had moved on, and I was like, I'm taking these legs first, okay? And they were like, okay, whatever, dude.
It's so good. It was so good. But, like, that's the kind of fun, like, you can have when you're not trying to be funny, like, for real.
Yeah. Like, in the second D&D session that I had, my character is just, like, this happy-go-lucky dude. And just in the third session, I decided to drop part of his backstory because I thought that would be fun. And I was like, oh, yeah. Somebody was like, oh, Ty, how are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm a little bit sad. I've been, adventuring with this party for the past 6 months. And the whole reason why I joined is because I had this girlfriend who I fell in love with, and then she disappeared a number of years ago. And so I've been traveling all over looking for her. And at this point, I'm almost believing she's imaginary, like that I made up that entire time in my life. And it kind of makes sense. Like, maybe I've just been gaslighting myself this whole time and she doesn't actually exist. And I just fucking said that in the middle of the session, and our DM was like, dude, we could do something with that if you wanted to. And I'm like, I don't know. It was fine.
Fucking Colby over here role-playing as Chris Chan. Fucking
yeah.
Just, God, I love D&D so much. But, like...
Yeah, you can do anything in it so long as your DM is like, so long as your DM is flexible and good enough to let you do it. Yeah, you can do basically anything.
Fucking just don't take a pre-existing character from like a D&D show and RP as that character. It just be yourself. Don't copy. You can even make a character like from a TV show, just what is it called? Not that character, but like inspired. You can make a TV show inspired character.
Sure.
But don't make that character and like his layout and think that the game is gonna play out like fucking Critical Role or fucking Dungeon Daddies or whatever that show is called.
Yeah, if you want to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play a character that's basically Daryl from fucking Walking Dead. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna make a ranger who has a crossbow and he doesn't like wearing sleeves. Wow, there you go. You've made Daryl. Yeah, it's not hard.
And you're edgy.
It's like,
you're a fucking edgelord.
Yeah, you're edgy and you like,
and you're a good hunter.
You say that a lot.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't believe him. And you can even make him look like him, and that would be fine. Yeah. But
you could name him Daryl. No. You could pretend to be him. No. The thing is, just like, don't reference The Walking Dead at all.
Yeah. You could even, because rangers or hunters have like characters that they do extra damage to as per 5e. Like they have the what's it called? Like target enemies and per
Yeah.
per couple of levels, like they can do damage more. Have your hated character be our favorite enemy. That's what it's called. Be zombies, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But
And it's easy. It's so easy to do this and not fuck up everyone's session.
Dude, I can tell you how like in depth I've been. Like I love kitsunes first of all, and if you don't know what a kitsune is, it's a fox person with like many tails, and like they're very Oriental inspired because in D&D lore they're from like an Orient land, and they're like tricksters. I love playing that race. That's like my favorite race. For like a session, like for this game we're playing, I wanted to get like deep into that lore. Like now I know, I found like kitsune like lore and background and how they act. So now like I'm deep in kitsune lore. That's like my character. That's how that's how much I get into D&D. I don't show that much effort into anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it is almost remarkable how, like, whenever you want to do something, it's like fucking the level of effort is you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it's like boring even a little bit, you're like, wow, I have many other things to be doing.
Dude, it never gets boring to me. I've even like, because one of my characters was using a rapier, I researched different rapier stances just to have my character give him a little bit more unique flair. So I'm just like, okay, he's like wielding a rapier, so he's gonna stand in, you know, this stance. And I researched like fencing, and I'm like, when he's fighting, you know, he puts his hand out kind of like Captain Hook. I'm like, he has that stance. And then when I dual wielded rapiers, you know, I had it to where like one he was holding in front of him like for guard, and then like one to his side to like parry and attack. So, and that's just that doesn't play out into like the gameplay wise. That's just flair you can add to your character to say, this is what, you know, this is how this would play out for whatever attack you want. And
man,
I think that's cool.
That's a lot of effort.
Dude, I'm not joking when I tell you I fucking love D&D, and it pains me that I haven't played in at least a year or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, playing D&D is great and it's fun, and like I've written a one shot that I just haven't run yet, mainly because I don't know what system to run it in.
Savage Worlds.
But like the thing is, it just takes a lot of effort.
It does.
And it takes a lot of time. Like, I think the past 3 D&D like arcs that I played, every time our DM was like, great, this is going to be a one shot. We're just going to do this in one session. Every time it was 2 sessions and combined total like 7 hours.
Yeah.
Every time. So it's, and I'm like, fucking 2 nights out of my week. And like, I stream 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
We record this podcast. Like, where am I supposed to find, the fucking time? Help me.
So, I'm really, the reason I bring up D&D is because I'm like really stoked. In, our Discord in Nostalgia, one of our friends is going to do a one shot with like 3 sessions. And you don't know how excited I am to be able to create again. D&D is one of those creative spaces where I can just be my full creative self, and it's so good. Like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, man. I mean, D&D is a gift.
Hey,
and I hope that one day
Wizards of the Coast,
I'll have the time to do it.
Hey, Wizards of the Coast, if you're listening, please sponsor us.
Yeah, Wizards.
Yeah, fucking Wizards of the Coast, sponsor us and put us on a D&D game podcast, so that way we'll have one episode where we're just playing.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, here's what I'll say. If you sponsor us, Wizards of the Coast, we'll have a whole segment every week called Wizards of the Toast, where we just say how cool you are.
Fucking, oh shit, what would like a D&D style name be for us? What, fucking Dice Getters?
Dice Getters?
the
Lore Getters?
The Dungeon Getters. Fucking hell yeah.
Yeah, loot getters maybe.
Oh, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. I would, if this podcast got big enough and we had a spin-off podcast where someone invited us like once a week to just do D&D, I'm 1,000% down.
Yeah,
I would.
That would be sick.
I would give up a work day for that.
Man, yeah, I just I don't know. That sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe that's what this podcast is about. Every week we're like, I don't know what this podcast is about. Maybe we just figured it out. Maybe it's just us play D&D.
Yeah, let's.
There's so many D&D podcasts out there, though.
Yeah, there is. I mean, with the right people, we could probably get it big. Everyone loves D&D, especially now since the pandemic.
Everyone loves D&D.
Tell me,
hey,
dude, show me one person online that hates it, besides the people that are like, oh, why is Wizard of the Coast pandering? Man, D&D has been for everyone all the time, forever. Just because they added, like, they're like, oh, gender options and are fucking, what's it called, pronoun options? The choice was always there. They just didn't say it out loud. But now that they're writing it down so people can, I guess see it and, like, be like, hey, play D&D. I don't know why they're so pissed off. It's not pandering.
People are stupid little crybabies. That's what the problem is. Is like they see that people see the value in making their work more inclusionary to people that like aren't just like like white nerd dudes, right? And they're like, I feel attacked. You're ruining the thing that I liked. It's like, shut the fuck up, God.
But like, there are some like caveats, like. People are like, oh, it's always been closed off. Like, well, and I'm not going to say that because it hasn't happened to me, where every group I've ever wanted to play with or people I wanted to play with have never like scoffed me off like oh, you want to play, like ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like there have been groups where it's been mostly girls, and I'm like, girls like D&D. It's just not said out loud.
Yeah, like there's a lot of women that I know that like D&D and enjoy playing it. But it is one of those things where a lot of women are especially if you say that you enjoy playing D&D online, people are very quick to come up and be like, well, you say you love D&D, name all the races at 3.5. Shut the fuck up, God.
You like D&D? Yeah, I bet you've only played in 5e. I was playing since D&D Advanced.
Yeah. Oh, you love Dungeons and Dragons? Name every dragon. Shut up.
Name all of Gary Gygax's relatives. But there also is another caveat where, not that I agree with the whiny crybaby bitches, but like a lot of people are like, oh, they equivalent orcs to black people, which I just don't see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. It depends on like the groups that you're around and like what you're, like what you're running with. Because I could 100% see, because like the nice thing and the interesting thing about D&D is it's almost universal. Like if you have tried to play a role playing game like D&D. It doesn't matter if you're like a nerd. It doesn't matter if you're like if you live out in the country. It doesn't matter. Like what you're doing, what walk of life you're from, it's universally a pretty cool experience because you get to basically do whatever you want to as long as your like DM is good. And that does unfortunately mean that it's like, oh, it's just like, I want you to imagine, Fee, a bunch of friends are like sitting around in a basement. Okay. And they've like just finished a session and they're like, oh man, everybody's packing up, get ready to go home. And someone just sits back and they sigh and they say, oh man, you know what I love about D&D? D&D is just so much fun. You know what I love about it? It's escapism. And no matter what like shitty thing is going on in your life, like, your boss is being a dickhead, or inflation's going up, gas prices, like no matter what, I can always sit down here and I can I can pull out my crossbow and I can go hunting and I can save the day here in D&D. And then his friend goes, yeah, and there's no black people here either. He goes, yeah, true, except for them orcs, right?
Oh.
We all know that the orcs are black people, right?
No.
And then everyone's like, yeah, that's why we shoot them all the time.
Oh.
That's what's happening.
Oh no, I would have to cut ties and not tell them.
You'd be like, I gotta go.
Hey, dude, like you don't know how like hard and fast I would nope out. It would be that meme of I don't know if you've seen it, like that African American guy with dreadlocks like waving and just disappears. Mm-hmm. That would be me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The thing is, like, I don't know. It's not that it's like a super prevalent thing, and I agree that like there's depending on people sort of have gotten to the part, this like interesting portion of our lives where like we're all sort of evolving to figure out how the internet fits into our lives and like what sort of role it plays and how much we're on the internet. And because like we talked about before of algorithms and, bubbles that you live in and that like the internet tries very hard to not let you out of.
Yeah.
It's like, issues that maybe one person raises start to become amplified to a level where like you're like, oh, I didn't think that was a problem, but I guess it is. And then you continue to hear about it and you're like, yeah, this is a big fucking problem. And then you ask anyone that's not on the internet and they're like, I've literally never heard of that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, because orcs, a lot of orcs, especially in fantasy, have cockneyed accents. Mm-hmm. And I've always just saw them as like tribal Viking fucking Cockney Englishmen. because like, do people equate that to black people because like they're always tribal? Like I don't see the connection. There are.
I think it's probably. I don't think it's probably a direct reference. Like this is like I don't know anything about this. So like I can't speak to like the true like where this is coming from ness of this, but I would imagine that this is like 2 steps removed. Like the things that are coded for like orcs as a race may be things that are racist dog whistles when talking about like black people, right?
I think someone one day just kind of looked too deep, because I think orcs was just supposed to be like the race of people, like, because back in the day orcs were like pig people. And then they evolved like slowly into these giant green skinned like monsters who like could fucking rip your head off your shoulders. And I always saw that as intimidating. I'm like, that's a lot more intimidating as a threat, like evil. Like, of course there are good orcs, but there's also always orcs that you fight that are just they're like in your way. Like if you're in a session and you come across like a band of orcs, sometimes they're neutral. They're usually neutral evil, because like they want to be left alone, and usually they get hired and they're like mercenaries or something, or they've come under the evil lord because the evil lord's like, hey, if you side with us, you get your own part of the land and you don't have to worry about anything. So
yeah, and everyone will leave you alone, I promise.
And like orcs have shamans and stuff. They're to me, orcs are more like Native American than anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even equate them to African American, but because they live off the land and they have like their shamans and like they're good fighters, they're more Native American than anything. And I don't even see it as offensive. It's almost like what's it called? I wouldn't say it's like good. It's just it's really cool that like some of the orcs like have Native American tactics and like influence. I think it's pretty cool. I don't see them as evil. I just see them as flexible. Any race can be evil in D&D. Any race, any class can be evil. And that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm being ignorant right now, but I'm just, that's how I see it. And unless you're Warhammer 40k, then they're evil. But the Orc Boys always gonna ride. That's my fucking race. I fucking love the Orc Boys.
The Orc Boys always gonna ride. That's a fucking motto.
That Warhammer 40k, which is very different than D&D, their orcs are these fucking off their fucking hinge, cockneyed fucking boys that are like, they believe if they paint something purple, it'll fly because one of their gods did it.
Hell yeah.
If they believe something's a gun hard enough, it'll become a gun.
Hell yeah. It's all about faith, baby.
Exactly. Orc boy. Like, if you look at any of their stuff, it's like they just duct tape and weld rockets on the stuff, and if it flies, it flies. Fucking Orc boy. The Orc boys are our best race.
I mean, that sounds fucking sick. Why not?
Yeah, dude. Fucking, I love it. It's so... If you know anything about Warhammer 40k, Warhammer is very like, oh, we have the Space Rangers, and they're fighting these, like, elven-like alien race, and then you got the xenomorph-like characters, and then you just have the fucking orcs doing their best. just fucking shit up.
They're just out here trying, all right? They're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, all right?
Yeah, basically, like, everyone's having, like, their battle with all this comfort, like, rich lore and why they're doing it, and the orcs are just like, we're gonna fight these guys, right? Fucking, you what now? Fucking just, they just insert themselves into shit where they shouldn't be. And they're like, the greenskins right superior to the puny humies. And fucking...
Oy.
Dude, no shit, that, like... You saw me play fucking space... Warhammer 40k fucking... Ultramarine. You saw me. Like, those... That's the fucking orcs. It's great. That's the fun thing about fantasy. We didn't even talk about Pinocchio.
We didn't. No, we legitimately, we said Pinocchio. There's a lot of Pinocchio things that are happening. And then we said, you know what's actually better to talk about is Dungeons & Dragons.
It's true. It's a better topic. But it's not quite as cursed as Pinocchio. But yeah.
True.
Pinocchio has 3 things coming out this year. The Disney live-action remake, the Guillermo del Toro stop-motion movie, and the Souls-like Lies of P coming out. And they're all, Pinocchio expired. Let's say
I just like, why Pinocchio of all fucking things, right? Like,
I think the premise is so kind of like loose that it can be turned into a lot of things.
Yeah, I guess it's like, because it is basically whatever, right? Yeah. Like, it is basically, I don't know, there's this wooden boy who wants to become real, and when he lies, his nose gets bigger, and you're like, okay.
That's the thing, he doesn't have to be wooden.
I guess that's true, yeah. That's
like, there could be steampunk Pinocchio, where he's made of fucking gears and copper, and has, like, a big electric fucking Frankenstein backpack on his back.
Yeah, okay. I mean, you can be a little flexible with it, and it is like an anthology, right? Because there was like, oh, Pinocchio goes to the whale. Pinocchio fucking has this wacky misadventure. Pinocchio, whatever, eats a hot dog.
What is it? You gotta go on fucking Pornhub for that one.
Yeah.
Like, who says Monstro has to be a whale? What if, going back to steampunk, what if Geppetto's being held hostage by the Gestapo on the Zeppelin named Monstro?
Yeah, I mean, you could do anything, right? Like,
yeah.
Your canvas is blank.
Yeah. You just need a non-human mechanical character, our puppet, And you just need that type of character, and you need him to gain sentience and is possibly looking to become real.
Oh my god, wait a second. Is Battle Angel Alita Pinocchio?
Anime Pinocchio, I guess, yeah.
Shit. Shit. There's probably a lot of Pinocchios out there, isn't there? Shit.
This changes everything.
Shit, Ghost in the Shell was probably Pinocchio too, isn't it? Don't fucking lie to me.
I think it's Pinocchio adjacent.
Shit. Oh man, it's all Pinocchio, isn't it? Damn it!
It's always has been fucking man in space.
Always has been. It's all Pinocchio.
Believe me when I tell you, the Disney live action one. I saw the trailer, and I keep seeing people in the comments like, "This looks so good," and don't get me started. It looks good, everything, but then you see Pinocchio, and oh god, no! Like, he's so uncanny. It's an uncanny valley thing because he looks. They animated him so well that he looks like he could be a real puppet, and he looks exactly like the cartoon. But then you have him interacting with like people, and it's I don't know even how to describe it.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. It's like the texture on his hat looks like felt.
Yeah.
Like he's got his face looks like it was painted by hand. But then like he's got this like smooth fucking 60 frame per second animation with the rest of his body. So he looks like he for sure looks like if it's a still frame, you're like, wow, what a puppet. And then in motion, you're like, how are you moving so much, and how are you moving so smoothly? This is my brain is having trouble resolving this.
In a cartoon, you could believe it because it's a cartoon. In real life, you're just like, but how?
Yeah. Like, these things don't match up. And, like, don't get me wrong, again, like, this is a beautiful looking movie. It's the cinematography in it looks stark, like extremely well done. This looks like a very well made movie that had a lot of money go into it. I do not care to watch it because it's just looks like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna
who gives a shit?
I'm gonna watch it. But there's one character I thought looked like really weird and out of place, and that's the guy who owns the puppet wagon. Whoever did his makeup or whatever, just they're like, we blew our budget on everything else. Just fucking glue a wig on his face.
Just hey, listen, no one is gonna look at this man for more than 20 seconds. Don't even trip, dog.
I thought he looked the worst out of the whole everything, and I'm like, ugh. But then again, this takes out of the cartoon where things seem normal. There's the fox and the cat character, and then you see them in live action. You're just like, but wait a minute, there's real people in this movie. Like,
hey,
do people like know that they're sentient like animal people? Like, dude,
I don't know, because like, yeah, you're right that they've got like, and there's two tiers, just like there always is with fucking Disney things, where like you have Goofy and then you have Pluto, right? Both are dogs, but somehow they're different. So you have like ringleader Catman, and then you've also got like the small kitten that like Geppetto talks to.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Who's also CGI.
Yeah, he has this fucking cat, and then there's a cat person. Oh shit, I didn't even think about that. That's you're blowing my mind.
Listen, this is all class warfare. It's all it's always been.
Do they have two evolutionary lines? Did like some just branch off and become like anthropomorphic bipedal like semi-humans, and then some just stayed quadrupedical fucking animals? What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, the thing to me sort of is like, it's almost like evolution, I guess, you know, because the biggest and dumbest argument that people have about like, oh, evolution's wrong. If evolution was right, why do we still have monkeys? You fucking idiots.
you fucking dumb shit.
You absolute dumb shits. I mean, that's the same argument though. Like, so I get it. Like, right.
No,
some cats just became smart and some cats didn't. But also, like, fuck, man, it just looks weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're not different enough. Like, we look different enough to monkeys that it's not unsettling.
Yeah.
But whenever they both very clearly look like cats, it's just one is standing up on two legs and is capable of paying for a prostitute. It's like the difference is too big, you know?
That's
like,
how we...
the difference is too big between us and monkeys. It's too similar for those two cats.
If monkeys could pay for prostitutes, it would be weird, but that's not
it would
that's
be
not
weird.
the case, so we're fine. And I'm looking.
If a monkey built a helicopter, now we're getting into Uncanny Valley. You know what I mean?
That's
you show me like anything that's ever been invented by a monkey, and it's like, well, all right, now we got to start killing all the monkeys. We can only be we're the only sentient race on the planet.
Well, where do you think the term "put enough monkeys in a room and they'll write fucking Hamlet" or Romeo and Juliet? Where do you think that term came from? That's what happened.
That's because, you know what? Yeah, exactly. That's what they did. They did this experiment in 1923, and they won't let anyone know about
it. They said it as a joke, not knowing people didn't know that it's what happened.
Yeah, they started saying it just to be like, you know how there are those times where you want to say something, but then you like test it out like a joke just to see like, I don't know. What do you think about this? That's what happened. People were like, wow, that sounds fucking stupid and bad and scary. I would hate if monkeys wrote Romeo and Juliet. And they're like, oh, we can't fucking tell them.
They're like, oh no, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. But that's the fucking, that's our separate universe. That's universe number 2 next to us. Where monkeys after that became sentient, and now they're the leading race. That's the Planet of the Apes universe, where they have a movie called Planet of the Humans. Fucking wouldn't
like, yeah, imagine if those humans, you know, the ones we keep in the zoos, were actually like, you know, they were the real ones. Like they were the smart ones. That would be fucked up, right?
Do you think if someone made? I think that would. I don't know if that would be a. Jesus Christ. Do you think that would be a good movie if someone made Planet of the Humans where it's just Planet of the Apes, but like it's a sentient ape people got teleported to a savage human world like them, and then it just played out like the movie except, you know, slight differences. Do you think that would be a good hit? I feel like it's different enough and like funny to where if they played it as not a parody, it would be fun.
I mean, it depends on what you mean by fun. Like, do you want like a serious movie in which take basically the last like War on the Planet of the Apes movie, right, and just like, you know, Caesar and all of his smart monkey friends, or
no,
all of a sudden we're talking
about like 1970s Planet of the Apes, those type of people.
I see. Okay,
and they come into a human world, but it's not like our world. It has technology and it's advanced, but it's kind of like in a fantasy way, almost like how Planet of the Apes by Tim Burton was.
Planet of the Apes by Tim Burton? What the fuck? That's a thing?
Yeah, the 2001 where I think it was Matt Damon was the main character. Matt Damon was a scientist.
Oh, shit, you're right. Oh, God, now I remember. Jesus, it was Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
I had pushed this so far out of my brain it didn't exist. Wow. Oh, fuck.
They did, instead of doing like the reveal at the end where humans found out that this was a human planet with the Statue of Liberty, the human at the end of that movie finds Abraham Lincoln. He finds in Washington the Lincoln Memorial, but it's a monkey.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's monkey.
Yep.
Fucking.
That's just how that's how it goes. Every goddamn time.
There's
Abraham Lincoln will come get you.
Oh my God! I could talk about this all day. But I'm not. And we've talked a lot about Pinocchio. I mean, the Guillermo del Toro stop-motion Pinocchio sounds so good because Guillermo del Toro is fucking good.
He is good, and he's got a good eye for making things look creepy, but also be kind of cute. So like, I have no doubt that that's gonna be a fun thing to watch.
I saw the trailer for Lies of P. That game looks fucking great. But you wanted to talk about something too, about progress. So before we go for like another 20 minutes, let's talk about that.
Okay. So, I don't know why, but right before this podcast, I was in the kitchen, and do you know what a performance improvement plan is?
I don't.
Okay. So, basically, here is I will tell you a story about a previous coworker of mine and what happened with him leading up to the introduction of this. So, at a previous job, I'm sort of like, early in my software career, and so's this guy. So we're both kind of coming up together, and he gets this like big project, right?
Okay.
And he's working on it, and he's doing his goddamn best. But his best is unfortunately not good enough. So like, imagine this, like you're a security guard,
yes.
right? And that, like, at some places the security guard like has multiple jobs. So it's not just that you're like keeping everything safe, but you're also like, doing odd jobs around the place. You're like fixing the pipes sometimes, or you're like, oh, the light bulbs over here are out. I'll put in a work order for this. Yeah. Like small establishments, you don't just have one job, you have a bunch of jobs. And that was effectively the same thing with this guy. He got hired on as a software engineer, and then this project that we were working on, he had never done anything like it before. It's very clear that he was very early in his career, and that he was not like he wasn't able to produce the sort of software that they wanted him to.
So it's not his fault.
So imagine so imagine, suddenly at your job that you currently have, they're like, hey, you've now got to go like fix some leaky pipes. And you're like, okay. I mean, I could go Google how to do that, I guess, and see. And they're like, yeah, cool. Just do it. Whatever. We don't really have the time or patience to be able to train you. If you ask your supervisor, he may be able to come over and help you do this. Cause like he knows how to fix the leaky pipes, but like he's also really busy. Yeah. So, just like try your best. And you're like, okay. So 2 months in, he gets called into a meeting, and they're like, we are going to place you on a performance improvement plan because we are concerned about your performance. And what a performance improvement plan is,
doesn't sound good.
It is not good. It is basically, hey, your performance is not up to the level that we expect it to be.
Get away.
You should be like operating at this level and doing, you should be like doing X and Y and Z, and like you should be doing this job a little easier than you're doing it right now. So we want you to start operating at that level, and like these are the things we expect from you. In the next 4 weeks, you're going to deliver like a status update on this. In the next 3 weeks, you're going to deliver like this feature. In the next 2 weeks, you're going to deliver this thing. And if you do not meet these metrics, you will be fired. And so like he comes out of this meeting and he tells us this, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, that's not that big a deal, right? Like you can finish this project. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'm going to have to if I want to keep my job.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yeah, cool. So imagine your bosses are like, hey, Fee, these leaky pipes are really fucking leaking and you are not doing a good job. You're like, I have tried. I am doing my goddamn best. And it is hard to fix leaky pipes, it turns out. And they're like, yeah, you do need to fix 5 leaky pipes in the next 2 weeks, though. Otherwise, you're fucking gone.
Like,
and you're like, oh, God. Okay, cool. And sure enough, 4 weeks comes, 4 weeks goes. And then one morning, he gets a calendar invite for like 8:30 a.m. Earliest meeting of the day. No one is in the office at that time. He gets this meeting. He comes in. They're like, great. Hope you brought your laptop. You are now officially fired. Give us your laptop.
Oh,
And so
no.
we show up for our morning meeting, which is at 10:30, and at our morning meeting they're like, "Hey, yeah, that guy's gone."
No.
And I was like, "What? When did he go?" And they were like, "This morning, 2 hours ago." And I was like, "We can't even say bye? What the fuck?"
No. Forget he existed.
Yeah, put him out of. He never worked here.
Who are you talking about?
So this is like this like performance improvement plan. That was the first time that I'd ever been introduced to it, and like it. So what it sounds like is like, hey, this is your wake up call. You know, you're having a hard time here. You're not meeting expectations. We really need you to start like kicking your ass in gear, and then you can stay here and all that. But like you were really in danger of losing your job.
Oh.
What it seems like, based off of everyone who I've talked to that has either been on a performance improvement plan or knows someone that's been on a performance improvement plan, is, hey, you were going to get fired in 4 weeks, so start looking for a job.
God, that has to be
because,
rough. God.
Yeah, everyone that I've talked to, everyone that has been put on a performance improvement plan, they get fired. Like there's no going back.
That's basically like you got 2 weeks. Fucking. You didn't give us your 2 weeks. We gave you your 2 weeks.
Yeah. And yeah, you're done in 2 weeks. Just FYI.
Unless somehow you fucking speed run learning a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
But.
And like, it's the interesting thing about this is I think I probably know why they do this. So. Before I got together with my wife, I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, and it was very messy. Continues to be pretty messy, because she's just a messy person. And so,
but that's okay.
The thing is, whenever I told my parents, like, hey, I've broken up with her, whatever, a couple of weeks later, I went to go visit them, and while we were talking about it, I was like, yeah, she's like having this hard time, and she's having like a really emotional, whatever. And like, she keeps calling me and keeps texting me, and like, I don't know what to do. My parents had two pieces of advice. My dad was like, hell, you screwed up breaking up with her. You should have waited until you had a fight and broke up with her in the middle of the fight. Like, that's how you do it. So that way she's blindsided by it, but she's so pissed off at the time that she's like, yeah, well, fuck him too.
That's the fucking
right?
Chad.
He is. He was like, yeah, that's, you broke up whenever things were calm and you were happy, and that's a bad thing. Whereas my mom, on the other hand, her advice was the performance improvement plan advice, which was, hey, I just wanted, like, I'm not really happy in our relationship, and like, I think you should make these changes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think I may need to leave. And then you just ignore everything that happens for the next 4 weeks, and you go, yeah, I think I am going to be breaking up with you. Well, it's not like this was a surprise. And usually what happens then is like, they've gotten time to like, they've like gotten over a bunch of the emotional hurdles to like the breakup already while they're still with you. And so whenever you break up with them, they're less violent and psychotic. So like, I imagine that that's probably what the whole point of doing this at like a job is to be like, hey, we definitely do want to fire you, but we don't want you to yell and scream and leave us bad reviews in places. So instead, we're going to tell you that we're thinking about firing you, and then when we do fire you, you'll think it's your fault.
Oh, fucking gaslight the employee. God.
Yeah. So like, for whatever reason, while I was like making my coffee, I was like, man, that really is like the advice my mom gave me for like how you're supposed to break up with someone. Like it's so much easier to just tell someone, hey, if I'm not happy in 4 weeks, this thing is going to happen. And then in 4 weeks, you're like, I'm not happy. This thing is happening. And they're like, well, it isn't a surprise. Dang.
I saw this coming a mile away.
Yeah, you did say to watch out for this. Dang.
God, that sucks. My parents, every time I broke up, I've never had a a pre-breakup fucking thing. My parents are just like, yeah, that sounds shitty. You should break up with them. And then, and then like, both my mom and my dad were always, after I broke up, were just like, yeah, no, fuck them. Just, you can get better, and you're gonna be better. You're gonna be fine. Just come stay with us.
Yeah.
And that's always their advice. You're gonna be fine. Just come live with us and work on yourself, and you're cool. And fuck them.
Yeah, hey, you're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it.
Just like, fuck them. Just don't talk to them anymore, and don't get back with them because they're shitty. I'm like, yeah. And you know what? I'm right there with them. I think that's typically what you should be doing. Is like, hey, you're great. Don't worry about them. This does suck, but like, damn, fuck them. Well, like in both my two serious relationships, they were 100% right on both both accounts. They were just like, yeah, no, fuck them. You're better, and just go on living your life.
You're like, oh, damn.
I mean, you're right.
Okay.
You're right, I guess. When you're right, you're right.
You know what? When you're right, you're right.
Fuck, that's fucking funny.
Yeah, it's so funny to me that like whenever like the tactics between like a corporation and between a human being are like so similar, because you're trying to manipulate the other person into not reacting in a way that's going to make a bunch of problems for you.
God, yeah, no, like, oh God, that it's the same. Like, it's human nature, I guess. You're like, I want to break it off with that little to none, like, what's it called? After effects. Like, for you, it was different when you broke up with your first girlfriend, because y'all had, like, a lot of the same friends, and it was just, God, it was just really hard. For me, my girlfriends, other than my most recent girlfriend, has, like, never really liked my friends. And I don't know why my first girlfriend never really liked my friends. She just did. She just didn't like the type of people I hung around with. And then my recent ex, she liked y'all, but I don't know how y'all felt about her. It's just, she wasn't well. Like, she just wasn't, like, well mentally, and I don't know how she is now. I haven't seen her, and I don't talk to her. So, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, the only thing that, like, our massive, major, like, first impression of your girlfriend was, wow, she just talks like JonTron. It's like you're just dating.
Oh my God, yeah.
Someone whose entire personality is JonTron. It's like whenever we had the guy in our improv troupe who was just Ace Ventura. It was like that, but for JonTron. We were like, wow, she's like basically JonTron, isn't she?
I really didn't even notice, but God, she does. She did. Oh, dude. Yeah. But she was like, okay, so I'm like really invested into like YouTubers, and I have like a lot of my favorites I watch, but like hers was Markiplier, which is like very interesting. It's very funny. Like, she was hardcore Markiplier, dude. Like, she did like a school presentation about Markiplier.
Wow.
And it's very funny that she did talk like JonTron.
Yeah.
Like, she watched JonTron, but she had that JonTron cadence to her speech.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's very, very surprising. And especially because if you're right, like, you know, she's watching Markiplier, who's definitely way different than JonTron. The way in which he speaks is markedly different.
Yeah. You fucking
stupid
buffoon.
God, I feel so embarrassed for myself. But yeah, like, that was like our first impression was we were like, God, she talks like JonTron. That's a little fucked up, but okay, whatever. You know, whatever. She's fine. She's cool.
She was very cool. She was very cool up until like a year and a half ago, and then she wasn't.
and then something
And
changed.
then the Fire Nation fucking attacked. Fucking
Yeah, the Fire Nation attacked her personality.
it was like night and day. It was just weird. So I don't know. I blame it to her being like real young, not like real. She was like 21. She was like
Yeah.
20. 20 when I met her, and I was 28. Like people say that's problematic. I kept asking her when we first started. I was like, "Are you okay with this? Are you is this fine? I mean, we're 8 years apart. Is that cool?" And she's like, "Well, I mean, I'm 20, so I mean that's okay." So I'm like, "As long as you think it's okay." But like,
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know,
well,
man.
the weird thing is, she would always like. I'd be like, "Oh fuck, I like this show, and I remember playing Pokemon." And she was like, "I was a baby when that happened." I'm like, "Don't say things like that, please."
God, yeah, that happens with me and Mia sometimes. Where like, where they just say things like, "Oh yeah, this thing that was part of all of our childhoods," and I'm like, "I was in fucking junior high. What are you talking about,
Dude? Yeah, that always happened, and it would always weird me out. I'm like, please don't make reference to our age gap.
Yeah, please stop. Please stop. I'm dying.
Okay. Well, I think that's all for this show. But
Yeah, we are out of time.
I do want to say a joke that I said earlier. It's a pun. So some of our friends were complaining about Buzz Lightyear. They were like, this is in the other Discord. They were like, yeah, they're cops, ACAB, and I'm like, okay, I'm down, but I'm like, Buzz Lightyear's not a cop. He's a space ranger. They're like adventurers, right? And then one of our friends is like, but he does have that cop haircut, right?
He does.
And I was like, it's not a cop haircut. Pause. It's a buzz cut. Ah!
Oh, fee! Yeah. You knew I had to. I had to do it to him.
I fucking hit him.
Damn.
Because like an hour had passed. I wasn't like thinking about it. I was out with my mom, and then I go back to the messages, and as soon as I read that, I was like, it's my fucking time to shine. Like I've been.
Oh, I fucking got it. I fucking
like
got
I've been sitting on it. It like popped into my head immediately. I was like, oh fuck yes. Fucking top tier.
They're gonna be fucking so surprised by this. Oh,
it was a top tier pun, and I'm gonna die happy knowing I said it.
Yeah. You know what? If the whole world blows up right now, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine because I've made the best joke I'll ever have made in my life. Oh fuck! That's a good note to end the show on. You can you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, all the listening platforms, YouTube, TikTok. We're on there.
Yep.
Go give us a.
We're on everything. Is it a medium in which you can listen to audio? Probably there.
It's there. And if we get enough subscribers, you'll probably see us on YouTube because we'll probably do like video format. I also been talking about Colby about doing some Twitch podcast streams.
Yeah, we may start live streaming this podcast and uploading the audio afterward. Who knows? There's things are in the works potentially.
It's always me. I'm always coming up with these fucking crackpot theories, and Colby's like,
these fucking banger ideas.
And Colby's always like, yeah, sure, we could do that. And I'm just like, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's always me, like in the middle of the night. I'm just like, dude, you know what would be fucking cool? And Colby's like, yeah, sure, we could do that. Just for...
Yeah, okay, I guess that's fine.
I'm just waiting for the day you're just like, nah. But, like, it never comes. And you just always agree with me.
Yeah.
So you can find us on all that stuff. I want y'all to subscribe, like, favorite, and listen. We're every week.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you listen to us? Why wouldn't you want to laugh every fucking week?
I want you to put this podcast on at your work and make sure everyone else listens to it, especially if you work at a hospital.
I want you to put it on the loudspeaker. I want you to diagnose someone with go-getter syndrome. Just
diagnose them with ligma and then just make them listen to this.
I want you to, as you're birthing a baby and they tell you what the baby's name is, throw that name away and rename them go-getters. Just fucking
throw it away. Listen, this is going to be the year of the go-getters.
this fucking year. This is go-getters year. Just if you follow us, we have a what's it called? Not a library, a cavalcade of our like 40 episodes in the pot. Just go listen to those.
Yeah.
So here's what
they're all there.
So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to get a bunch of apes in a room, bunch of chimpanzees.
Okay.
I want you to play D&D with them, set them up, make their characters, and I want you to come up with this epic fucking, what's it called, one shot. Then go get them.
Go get them.
Put enough apes in a room and they'll play D&D.
Yeah, I mean... Listen, you may spend the entire time in that room with those monkeys just convincing them to not kill you.
Oh my god.
Be like, stop, you need to roll the dice!
Roll the dice first! I had...
Tell me, are you in the room or not?
So you were telling me about progression earlier. I had a gotcha moment where this just weird memory came back about a show called The Chimp Channel. That was on TNT. It was just it was like The Office before The Office, but all the characters were just live chimpanzees in costumes.
Oh my god, I think I remember that.
Yeah! Now, finish this podcast and go watch it.
Yeah, go find whatever that show is, experience it, and then come back here.
See you next week. Later!